Stop. These coins could be hidden treasure. Do not spend them. Check your pocket now, because what looks like a normal Roosevelt dime could actually be silent fortune hiding in plain sight. Nobody talks about these, but collectors are fighting behind closed doors, paying shocking amounts of money. This is real auction shock. These coins change everything, and each one I show you gets rarer, scarier, and more valuable. So stay with me till the end, because the last one might already be in your hand. First up, there's something almost unsettling about this coin, because it looks too normal. That's the trap. A 2016 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark doesn't scream value. It doesn't shine like gold, it doesn't look ancient, and yet people have unknowingly spent coins like this while holding what could have been life-changing money. This is not fiction. This is happening every single day, and most people never realize what they just lost. Now here's where it gets serious. The year 2016 wasn't just another ordinary minting year. The US was in a period of economic uncertainty, shifting markets, and heavy coin circulation demand. Denver Mint facilities were under pressure to produce massive quantities quickly. And when that kind of stress hits production lines, something strange happens. Quality control slips just enough to create coins that stand out, but only to those who know exactly what to look for. This particular dime carries the familiar face of Franklin D. Roosevelt on the front, calm, composed, almost unassuming. But look closer. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" aren't just text. They carry subtle spacing, alignment, and strike depth variations that collectors obsess over. That tiny D mint mark near the date? That's not just a letter. That's a signal. A marker of origin that can turn an ordinary coin into a silent fortune. Flip it over, and the reverse design shows the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. But here's the twist. On rare high-value examples, the torch lines appear sharper, almost aggressive, like they were struck with more force than usual. That kind of detail doesn't happen randomly. It's the result of minting pressure, die fatigue, and timing, factors that create coins collectors chase for years. Physically, this coin feels like any other dime. About 17.91 millimeters in diameter, weighing roughly 2.27 grams, with a thin profile that almost disappears between your fingers. The thickness is subtle, the edges reeded with precision. But that's what makes it dangerous. You won't think twice before spending it. You won't hesitate. And that's exactly how hidden wealth slips through people's hands every single day. The composition is a copper core layered with copper, giving it that familiar silver-like appearance. But over time, something magical happens. Natural toning begins to develop. Soft grays, faint blues, sometimes even a smoky darkness that collectors crave. And listen carefully, never clean this coin. Not ever. The moment you try to improve its appearance, you destroy the very thing that makes it valuable. Original surface is everything. What makes survival so rare isn't just time, it's behavior. People don't save 2016 dimes. They spend them, toss them in jars, drop them in vending machines. So finding one in fine condition, untouched, with original toning and no cleaning, that's where things start to escalate. That's when collectors stop scrolling and start paying attention. And here's what most people miss. Collectors don't just look at the coin, they study it. The strike quality, the rim sharpness, the micro details in Roosevelt's hair, the exact positioning of the mint mark. These tiny elements create obsession. Two coins from the same year can look identical to you, but to a collector, one is ordinary, and the other is a prize worth chasing. Now imagine this, a quiet auction room or even an online bidding war where usernames hide identities. One bidder places a number. Another jumps in instantly. The price climbs, not because the coin is flashy, but because the right people know what it is. They've been waiting, watching, and when it appears, they don't hesitate. That's how a coin like this reaches insane levels, up to $80,000 for something most people would hand over for 10 cents. Do not spend this coin. That's not a suggestion, it's a warning. Because once it's gone, and you'll never know if you just let go of serious money. If you find one, the first thing you do is check that D mint mark. Then, look at the condition. Are the details still strong? Is the surface original? Has it been cleaned? These small checks can mean the difference between pocket change and a life-changing opportunity. Professional grading is critical here. You cannot guess your way into value. Experts need to examine it, confirm its authenticity, and lock in its condition. That's what transforms a coin into something the market trusts. And once that happens, the doors to serious collectors open wide. And here's the part that should make you pause. Many collectors who own coins like this aren't selling. They're holding, waiting, because they know something most people don't. The supply is shrinking, but the demand is only getting stronger. That imbalance? That's where fortunes are made. So next time you get change, don't just toss it aside. Slow down. Look closely, because what seems ordinary might be the very thing that changes everything. And if you think this coin is shocking, the next one is on a completely different level. Rarer, stranger, and far more dangerous to ignore. Stay with me. You wouldn't even hesitate. That's what makes this coin terrifying. A 2006 Roosevelt Dime with a D mint mark looks so ordinary, so harmless, that most people don't even glance at it before spending it. But right now, while you're watching this, someone, somewhere, is handing over one of these coins for 10 cents, not realizing it could be worth $120 zeroth. This is the kind of mistake that haunts people forever. Do not spend this coin. Let's rewind to 2006 for a second, because this is where things start to shift. The United States was deep in a period of economic buildup before the financial crash that would hit just 2 years later. Demand for coinage was surging, production lines were running hard, and the Denver Mint was pushing out massive quantities to keep up with circulation. But when speed takes priority over perfection, something unusual happens. Coins start slipping through that carry subtle, almost invisible differences, the kind collectors obsess over. At first glance, the front of this dime feels familiar. Franklin D. Roosevelt's profile facing left, steady and calm. But don't let that fool you. Look at the word liberty. On certain 2006 D examples, the spacing and strike sharpness create a slightly tighter, more compressed look. In God We Trust sits below, but the depth of the lettering can vary in ways that only trained eyes catch. And that tiny D mint mark, it's everything. Its placement, its clarity, even the way it was struck into the metal, this detail alone can push a coin into a completely different category. Flip it over, and the reverse design shows the iconic torch, flanked by the olive and oak branches. But here's where collectors start leaning in closer. On rare, high-value pieces, the torch lines appear unusually crisp, almost like they cut deeper into the coin than expected. That's not random. It's the result of fresh dies under pressure, striking harder and cleaner before wear begins to dull the detail. These are the moments in production that create coins people chase for years. Now, physically, this dime doesn't give itself away. It's small, just 17.91 millimeters in diameter. It weighs about 2.27 grams. The thickness is slim, almost forgettable, with reeded edges that feel identical to every other dime in your pocket. That's what makes it so dangerous. There's no obvious sign, no flashing warning, You could be holding a silent fortune and not even know it. The metal composition is a layered structure, copper at the core, wrapped in cupronickel. Over time, this creates a surface that reacts to air, moisture, and handling. And this is where things get critical. Natural toning begins to develop. Subtle shades of gray, maybe even hints of gold or blue, depending on storage conditions. Collectors don't just like this, they demand it. It tells a story. It proves the coin hasn't been tampered with. And if you clean it, if you even think about wiping it down, you destroy that story instantly. Never clean this coin, not under any circumstance. Here's what most people miss. Survival is the real rarity. Billions of dimes were minted in 2006, but almost none were treated as special. They were spent, dropped, scratched, stacked, and forgotten. So finding one today in fine condition, with original surfaces intact, no harsh cleaning, and strong detail, that's where things start to get serious. That's when collectors stop scrolling and start competing. And they don't compete casually. This is quiet intensity. You won't see flashing lights or loud announcements. It's controlled, focused, almost secretive. A coin like this appears in an auction listing, and suddenly the right people show up. Bids start climbing, slowly at first, then aggressively, because they know what they're looking at. They know how rare it is to find one that checks every box. This is not just about owning a coin, it's about owning something others can't find. That's the obsession. That's the pull. And it's why collectors hold onto these pieces once they get them. They don't flip them quickly. They wait. Because they understand that as time passes, fewer of these coins remain in collectible condition, and the value only moves in one direction. Right now, examples of this 2060 Roosevelt dime in fine condition have reached up to $120,000 in auction environments. Let that sink in. 1 dime, 10 cents, turning into a life-changing opportunity. And the craziest part? It's still out there, still circulating, still being ignored. So what should you do if you find one? First, check the mint mark. That D must be present and clear. Then, examine the surface. Is it original? Does it have natural toning? Are the details sharp, especially in Roosevelt's hair and the torch lines on the reverse? These are the things that matter. These are the details that change everything. And listen carefully, patience creates wealth here. Don't rush to sell. Don't assume you know its value. Get it professionally graded. That step alone can unlock its true potential. Without it, you're guessing. And guessing is how people lose fortunes. Because that's what this is, a hidden fortune. Quiet wealth sitting in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize it before it disappears again into circulation. Most people will miss it. They always do. But you're not most people. Not anymore. And if you think a $120,000 dime is unbelievable, the next coin will completely shake you. It's rarer than this, harder to spot, and the kind of coin collectors lose sleep over. Stay right here, because what's coming next changes everything. Most people don't lose money in big, dramatic ways. They lose it quietly, one coin at a time. And the 2015 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark might be the most dangerous example of that. Because right now, it's sitting in pockets, car consoles, and loose change jars, being ignored, spent without thought, traded for nothing, while collectors are out there paying up to $100,000 for the right one. Do not spend this coin. This is the kind of silent mistake that costs you a fortune. Now here's where things get intense. The year 2015 was a strange moment in US coin production. The economy was stabilizing after years of uncertainty, but demand for physical currency was still high. The Denver Mint was under pressure to maintain speed and consistency, pushing out massive volumes of dimes into circulation. But when machines run hard and fast, something subtle begins to happen. Microscopic differences appear. Slight variations in strike force, die freshness, and alignment, the kind of details that turn an ordinary coin into a collector's obsession. Look at the front of this dime. Roosevelt's face appears calm, almost emotionless, but the details tell a different story. The word liberty stretches along the edge, and on certain 2015D examples, the lettering shows a sharper edge, almost like it was pressed with extra force. In God We Trust sits just below, and the spacing between letters can feel tighter, more compressed. These aren't mistakes, they're signals. Signals that the coin came from a moment in production where conditions were just right to create something rare. Then there's that small but powerful detail, the D mint mark. Positioned near the date, it seems insignificant to most people. But to collectors, it's everything. The exact placement, the depth of the strike, even the way it reflects light under magnification. These tiny differences can separate a common dime from one that's worth serious money. This is where most people fail. They don't look closely enough. Flip the coin over, and the reverse design reveals the torch standing tall between the olive and oak branches. Symbols of freedom, peace, and strength. But here's what makes certain 2015D dimes stand out: the torch lines. On high-value examples, they appear unusually defined, almost glowing under the right light. That sharpness comes from fresh dyes striking with precision before wear begins to soften the details. It's a narrow window in the minting process, and coins from that window are incredibly hard to find today. Physically, the coin doesn't help you. It's small, just 17.91 millimeters across. It weighs about 2.27 grams. The thickness is thin, almost delicate, with reeded edges that feel exactly like every other dime. That's the danger. There's nothing about it that screams valuable. You could hold it, spend it, and forget it within seconds, never realizing you just gave away a hidden treasure. The composition is a copper core wrapped in cupronickel, giving it that familiar silver tone. But over time, the surface begins to change. Natural toning develops, soft layers of gray, sometimes with hints of gold, or even deep blue, depending on how it's been stored. And this is critical. Never clean this coin. Not ever. That toning is proof of authenticity. It's what collectors look for. The moment you clean it, you erase its history and its value drops instantly. What makes this coin truly rare isn't just how it was made. It's how few have survived in the right condition. Think about it. In 2015, nobody was saving dimes. They were spending them, stacking them, dropping them, damaging them without a second thought. So finding one today in fine condition, with original surfaces intact and strong design details, that's where things start to shift. That's when collectors start paying attention. And when they pay attention, things escalate quickly. This is not loud, public hype. This is quiet competition. A coin like this appears in an auction, and suddenly a small group of serious collectors locks in. Bidding starts low, then climbs. Faster, higher, because they know what they're looking at. They know how rare it is to find one that hasn't been cleaned, hasn't been worn down, hasn't lost its original character. This is where the emotion kicks in. Collectors don't just want this coin, they need it. It fills a gap in a collection. It represents a moment in minting history that can't be recreated. And once they have it, they hold on to it. They don't sell. They wait. Because they understand something most people don't. Supply is shrinking, and demand is rising. Right now, The market has seen these 2015 D Roosevelt dimes in fine condition reach values of $100 zeroth. That's not a typo. That's real money. Life-changing money. For a coin that most people wouldn't even bend down to pick up if they dropped it. So here's what you need to do. First, check every 2015 dime you find. Look for that D mint mark. Then study the details. Are the letters sharp? Are the torch lines strong? Does the coin still have its original toning? These are the signs. These are the clues that most people miss. And remember this, do not spend this coin. Once it's gone, it's gone. Never clean it, no matter how tempting it is. And if you think you've found something special, get it professionally graded. That step is critical. It's what turns a guess into a confirmed asset. It's what opens the door to serious collectors who are willing to pay serious money. Because this isn't just a coin. It's a silent fortune, a piece of hidden wealth sitting in plain sight, waiting for someone to recognize it before it disappears again. Most people will never see it. They'll spend it without thinking. But now, you know better. If your heart is racing right now, it should be because these coins are still out there, hiding in plain sight, slipping through people's hands every single day. And the scariest part? The next coin I reveal in the next video is even more valuable than all of these combined. A coin so rare that collectors will do almost anything to get it. So don't miss it, because the next time you check your pocket, it might change your life.